Welcome to the Jefferson Middle School Library. I am going to give you a brief tour of the middle school where I work at. This section is our nonfiction collection. On the middle shelf here, I usually do a monthly display. This month's display is poetry books, since it is April, and April is National Poetry Month. In the back, I usually put up some notable biographies that I think students would enjoy reading. And here's the second half of the nonfiction. Some reference books right there with the red spine labels. This section is the new books that I have been able to purchase with funds that I have raised through book fairs. And on this side of the library is the fiction collection, along with some computers that students can use for schoolwork. Here's a display I have made of books for guys. Guys read. And here are some more books. Read Every Day, the display I purchased. Here is some magazines that I have for students who may not be book readers, but there's still something for them to look at. Some graphic novels. Graphic novels are huge, though they are constantly being checked in and checked out. Some more computers for student use, and the rest of my fiction collection. The two standalone bookcases actually are for my Spanish books for fiction and nonfiction. I have books for them also. I'll show you those briefly. I have those labeled with a yellow spine label. And that was nonfiction, and this is fiction. Let's see. Right over here is also the circulation desk, where students will see me to check out the books. And usually I will have a tabletop activity. Right now I'm doing a comic strip activity, but in the past I've done word searches, mazes, just something for everybody. During lunch I have board games that can be checked out for students also. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed the tour of the Jefferson Middle School Library. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Luft, and you just watched a video tour of the Jefferson Middle School Library, where I work as a library media technician. Jefferson Middle School has an enrollment of 700 students, and the library is open from 8 a.m. till 2:30 p.m. That's when my day starts and ends, and I am open for the whole day. Before I get started discussing my job duties, I thought I would give a brief description of my background. Jefferson Middle School is in the Oceanside Unified School District. This is my second year as an LMT, but I have worked for the Oceanside School District since 1999. I was actually hired on right out of high school. I graduated June of 1999, and I was hired September of 1999 as a senior clerk typist, which is an office employee. At the same time, I was working as a library page for the Oceanside Public Library, and you are familiar with what a library page does. I collected the books out of the book drop. I shelved library books, and on occasion I helped the librarians put up displays. However, I eventually resigned that position because I could go further in the school district. I became an attendance clerk, and as an attendance clerk, I did the daily attendance, the monthly attendance reports, registration, student records, student awards, and I worked on the master calendar, scheduling events. So I did that for quite a while. Eventually I met my husband, and we started a family, and I resigned. Eventually, I came to the point, though, where I was about to go back into the workforce. And I asked myself, what kind of work do I want to do at this point in my life? What am I interested in second to my family? And the answer was books. I love talking about books, reading books, recommending books, finding books. So I decided to go back to the library field, and I started researching what that would take. And I found the Library Technology course with Palomar College. At the same time, I came across a opening for a library media technician with the Oceanside District. So I filled out an application, and I tested, and I was able to get on the interview list. And eventually I interviewed for a position as a library media technician. And the principal who interviewed me was actually a principal at a previous school where I worked. She didn't work with me, but she worked with people who had. And she had gotten really good feedback from them for my work performance, just positive feedback. So based on that and my interview, I was hired. And I'm thrilled about that because I love my job. So as I've been working as an LMT, I've been taking courses at Palomar, and it's been very beneficial because what I learn in my classes gives me sometimes a fuller picture of my position and techniques to or ideas to implement at the school library where I work. It's provided a fuller circle, a fuller idea, a full circle moment for my job at Jefferson Middle School. I will actually be finished with the library program at Palomar in the fall of 2014, so I'm really excited about that. I will be very proud of myself. I'm also working towards an associate's degree too. So that's my background. Let me go ahead and jump into my job duties. My job duties, first, let me start with the teachers usually contact me to schedule a library visit. They will either want the students to visit every period that they teach or just certain periods. And that will either be for students to find a book for silent reading time, or if the teacher has assigned a research paper to write and the students need to find books on that topic. In either case, I will conduct a reference interview because students will usually ask me for book recommendations, either on the topic they've been assigned or for their interest. So I help them find a book that fulfills that need. I also help students on the computer. Sometimes it's just basic computer assistance that they need. Other times it can be research related. I also check in and check out textbooks to students. And I schedule computer lab times also for class visits. As I said earlier, the library is open throughout the day from the moment I get there till when I leave. For when the students have their own time, such as nutrition break and lunch, the 2 lunch periods, students can come to the library, and that's when they can return books, check out books, and that is their time. During lunch, I have board games available for students to play while they're in the library during the lunch period. I have magazines for students to read. So I try to have something for everybody in the library to make everybody welcome. It's just not like a big sigh, oh, this is where the books are. This is for everybody, this place. Also, part of my job is I maintain the library collection, of course, through acquisitions, weeding of old material, or books that are not being checked out very often to make room for more current or popular books, the latest Dork Diaries, the latest Wimpy Kid book, Hunger Games, Divergent. So I read nonfiction also, trying to keep my collection current. I also repair books that are just showing the wear and tear of being circulated. Let's see. Let me go into how I support curriculum. I support curriculum. Teachers will, again, contact me. My class is doing a research project on this subject. Can I have books on whatever subject? Just recently, I had a teacher tell me that they are going to be researching the human body systems and organs, and could I send books down to her classroom. So I collected about 30 books on this topic from a variety of perspectives. And I will check them after her and send them to her classroom on a book cart so that she can incorporate them in her class lesson for students' use during class time and classroom resources. I do this with the art teacher also, who does an end of the year art project. Sometimes teachers or a teacher aide will come to me that a student has low reading abilities and needs help. What books can I provide so the student can practice their reading abilities with the aide? So again, I conduct a short reference interview. Usually it's with the aide, because sometimes if that's the case, the student is not very comfortable to talk about reading. I don't like books, or I don't like reading. So sometimes I can pull out, well, what do you like to do? What kind of video games do you like? What kind of activities do you skateboard? So sometimes I can do it that way. Sometimes I pull down some books on a variety of plots, characters, so that the aide can work with the student. Sometimes it's just because they have a low reading interest and they need help on their abilities. Sometimes it's a second language issue. So I have books that are both in English and Spanish, and the aide can work on them using that type of book. So that's how I support curriculum. I also schedule author visits, and I also feel I support curriculum through that, because it allows students to see an adult using the writing process that they are learning in class, and that process does not end when the bell rings. That this person is using that. They are revising their work. They are rewriting their work. So it connects the dots for them. So I also feel like I support curriculum in that way. A recent author visit I just had, a teacher bought 2 class sets from this author so that she can use it in the classroom for student reading in the classroom. So that was great. I was happy I was able to provide that opportunity for her students and for her and the author. It was great. That kind of leads me to my budget. I don't have a library budget. Any money that that if I want to purchase books, I have to raise the money. And I do that through book fairs. I do 2 Scholastic book fairs and 1 Barnes & Noble book fair. I do box tops, and just recently I contacted a local restaurant to partner with. And I created flyers to be copied and distributed to students and parents. And that when they ordered and showed the flyer, the library would get a portion of that day's sales. So that was a different way. I'm always trying to think of different ways to raise money. It's a challenge, and I would have to say that is the biggest challenge of my job, because I don't have a budget. And for me to acquire books and library supplies, I need to raise the money. It's a challenge, but I kind of like it. I'd like it if I had a budget, but maybe next year. A word about author visits. I have been very fortunate that the authors who have agreed to come to the school library have agreed to waive their honorarium. I'm very appreciative that they were able and willing to do that, because it's a great opportunity for the students. One author visit I did, though, was in conjunction with a Barnes & Noble book fair. So the Barnes & Noble reached out and contacted the author, and he agreed to do an author visit at the school, and then later a book signing at the book fair, at the store itself where the book fair was being held. So that's also a great resource for me, to have an author event for the school, is in conjunction with a book fair, Barnes & Noble's book fair. Okay, so what is my top collection development priorities. I have basically just one big collection priority, and that is to improve and update my nonfiction collection. Not only because of the Common Core standards, which is being implemented, but to offer students current resources, especially in the science and technology collection that is woefully outdated, and I have been working to update it. Every time I order books, I order the fiction books that the students want to read, that get them into the library, but half of my order is nonfiction. Biographies, technology, electronics, science, that is my big priority for the collection. And my greatest challenge, as I said, is the budget, is creating my own budget, basically, raising the funds to spend for the library. The greatest reward of my position is when I get the feedback from the students. Mrs. Love, that book you recommended, I really enjoyed. I really liked this book. He's a really good author. Do you have any more books by him or her? Same goes for when they have a research project. Things that really helped me do my homework. It's always good to know that I am helping the students, and I'm very happy that I'm able to do that. So that's my biggest reward, and also is providing students with the author visits, the programs, bringing opportunities to the students when I'm able to do that. Let's see. To get the word out to students when I am doing programs and activities and events, I use posters and flyers. I maintain a library webpage where I post library happenings, things that are coming up, coming soon. I put blurbs in the student bulletin that is announced every morning. So I try to utilize everything that's available to me to get the word out to students of what's happening in their school library. And that brings me to my last topic of the ideal staffing at the library. Because the enrollment at Jefferson is only 700 students, I do feel that one library media technician, that it is ideal, just because of the enrollment. If we had a higher enrollment, we would need at least 2 then. But right now we're just at 700. And I feel that I can service the students within my 6 hours. I do have student aides who do help in the library. I have 2 aides for 2 different periods, and they do shelving. They just shelve in the fiction section. I tried it in the nonfiction, and I found myself going behind them a lot. So fiction works better for them. And also when students are checking out books and it's one of their peers checking their book out to them, there's kind of, oh wow, how did you become a library TA? So that's kind of fun to see that interaction and opportunity and that interest in the library. I want to work in the library too. It's a community feeling that it invokes. So I use TAs. But the staffing, just having one because of the enrollment, it's perfectly doable. So I believe I have covered all the topics that I wanted for this video tour, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed sharing it with you, and I'd like to take the time to thank Professor French in giving me this opportunity. Thank you.